Okay, thanks everyone. Yes, it's now what 1 year and 6 months since we gathered for the first time to talk about this project and this burden and policy shapers has brought all of us together to sort of make this happen. And I think the goal of today's meeting is basically to assess where we are so far. We have 6 months left on this project, and sort of like plan what the next 6 months would look like to ensure that we're able to meet with our timeline. I also give a bit of an update on some of the things we've been working on at the back end. And then once we're done talking about the project, I'd like us to spend some time looking at the data that we've gathered so far from the Rivers 2050 Vision Survey. First in its kind in our state. So I think there's so many interesting insights that we are beginning to glean from that data. And I think that will be a good chance to look at it together. Okay, so let me just share my screen so we can go right into it. I think once we're done with the presentation, perhaps we have some time for questions and feedback. And then once we're done with that, we can look at the data together. So just give me a sec. My tech is all over the place today. Cool. Okay. Okay, so if you can see my screen, which I hope you can, and I hope my internet is not so bad because it's just began to rain. So just let me know if you guys lose me at any point, please let me know either in the group or here in the chat. So yeah, so just a bit of an update about the project, where we are so far, what we've done, and yeah, and basically what we hope to achieve over the next 6 months as we close out this project. Yeah, I mean, we've been using this when we speak to the external audience, this particular slide, often just to talk to them about like what's been happening in the project and where's River States, giving them like context about River States basically. But just as a reminder to us, River State contributes up to 40% of Nigeria's oil and gas outputs. So that's a major chunk. I mean, 40% means that the river state doesn't exist. 40% of Nigeria's GDP disappears. Also with the population of about 7 to some sources say 9 million, some say 7 million. We're somewhere between 7 and 8 million people at 11,000 square kilometers. Yeah, just as we've been saying, for 50 years now, the state has been without a long-term plan or vision, and that is what necessitated this particular project. We always share this photo as well because yeah, the last time our state had a long-term vision was when we had the 24-year-old governor, um, who at the time this was post the Civil War was thinking of how they can rebuild the foundations of our states, and that's what's basically led to the River State Development Plan 1975 to 1980, and of course led to all of the things that we see here: Point Block, Horizon Palm, Power Breweries, West Africa Glass Company, to mention a few. So between that's 1975 and 2026, well, 2025 when we started the project, but 2026 this year. Yeah, there's been 50 years in between that time. We had four governors, we'd had seven election cycles, and over $7 billion had come into the state. And we have little or nothing to show for it because, I mean, solely because the state really hasn't had a plan or vision. Driving sort of like what the future of the state should look like. And on our current on our current course, it's obvious that if we continue the way we're going, things will just continue to get worse and worse. So that's part of what has inspired us as an organization and me as the convener to bring together this project. So that's how this project was born, out of a need. In the need for development in the state, but also the obvious fact that the state isn't going in the right direction, and there's a need for us who would, in quotes, suffer the repercussions of what happens in the future to be able to drive development for ourselves and advocate for the kind of state that we want to see. And hopefully this becomes a model that policy shapers can then use to work with other organizations, in other states to be able to come up with visions and plans because there's a lack of that, especially as it relates to the next 20, 25 years. across the country. Nigeria itself doesn't even currently have a vision or plan for itself since the last one elapsed in 2022. Yeah, and unlike the regular model, one of the things that we're doing is that we're challenging the assumption that visioning and planning has to be done by government, which is often what happens around the world, not just in Nigeria, actually. I think most of the world, planning happens and it's an activity that's led by governments. You have Ministry of Planning, or you have in most parts, like when we spoke to Dr. Aaron from Singapore, you saw that it was the Singapore government who led that planning, right? So it's a government-led thing. And what we're doing is that we're deconstructing that and saying what will happen if citizens themselves, especially young people, lead the process of planning and visioning. How can that help, in sort of like shaping the future? Is it even possible? I think the idea of this project is that we hope to answer those kind of questions, and also give our report as well on what we've experienced as part of this project. So usually the model is that the government initiates the vision, works with private sector and civil society, and then announces the vision to the citizens. But we're saying, what if the citizens themselves are the ones who lead the vision, work with private sector and society, and then announce the vision to the government, or engage the government rather in the actualization of that vision. So that's basically what we've been working on. And for those who don't know, Policy Shapers is the organization that has brought us together for the past 1 year plus. I think our company secretary is here. At some point, we get to hear her if she's able to speak. Comfort. Other founding team members as well have been coming in and going out. But this is one of the projects that we're working on this year, quite dear to our hearts. People might know us for other projects like Reform IELTS, where we led a sweeping campaign across the continents advocating for English language reforms, which led to changes in more than 30 universities around the world. Some people might know us for Nigeria Policy Hackathon, which is a policy hackathon we do for young people and especially university students now over the past couple of years. So this is one of our additional projects, one that we hope will be the start of something new, that we hope will then cascade to other parts of the country and hopefully parts of the continent and parts of the world. Okay, so these are the 5 phases for the project. When we started in 2025, last year in February, these are the 5 phases. As of now, we've completed or almost completed the first 3 phases. I mean, the first phase done clearly, that's recruiting our task force. The second phase, even though our goal is to hit 5,000, we're really close. We're 4,002 something, and 4,003 something now, as of when I checked this morning. We'll keep pushing, but I think at the end of this month, we'll bring it to a close, whether or not we hit 5,000, because we just need to analyze data quickly and get things over with. So yeah, so we're also really close, maybe like 90 something percent close there. We're also super close to wrapping up our focus groups. We've now done 20, I think you see it in the slides, 20 something focus groups. I think we have 3 more sectors we haven't discussed: human security, which is quite key, especially because of what's happening in the country at the moment, transportation, and food security. I think those are 3 things that are pending that are quite key for the state. I mean, if we don't discuss food security, like how are we going to eat? How are we going to feed ourselves in the future? We have this vast land without any idea of how to leverage them. So I think those are the 3 left, and the focus group team, I think, is working hard to see how we get dates and stuff to get folks to attend these focus groups. But yeah, we're almost done. It's been a long process of bringing everything together, but somehow we found all the the calendars and everything matching to be able to make that happen. So we're now at the 4th phase, which is now bringing all of this data that we've gathered, big data from survey, data from rapporteur notes and stuff from the various focus groups, into this vision book and how the vision book would look. And so at this phase, I'll speak about the timelines shortly, but at this phase, we'll then bring everything together and then be done with the book. Once we finish with the book, then we launch the book and bring the political parties and stuff together into this conversation. So this is how far we've gone. And just to give you a bit more insight into the few more things that we did when we launched, we started a task force, which we coordinate on WhatsApp. And then the task force then broke into smaller committees that are led by members of the steering committee. Some of them are here on the call. Udo for the check for the book committee, Wisdom who leads partnerships, um, Awajimi Mam who leads launch committee, Mesoma who leads survey, and Bira who leads focus groups. So these are the leaders of the various committees that we broke into. And just to give a point of note that um, so because we're going to have a honor roll for this project, I've said this over and over again. At the beginning of the book, we hope to immortalize everyone who puts in their work and efforts into this project. One of the ways we'll be able to do that is to know from how you participate in focus groups. Participate in your subcommittees, sorry, not focus groups, in your subcommittees. So please, if you're part of the project and you're not in any of the subcommittees yet, you might have done stuff which obviously is going to be seen and credited, but I think it would be cool that you're doing also working through one of the subcommittees. I think the book committee needs a lot of help now as we're going into the book phase. They've been working. I think they've covered almost 3 chapters so far. But I think there'll be a lot of help. Like if you're not in any committee, I advise you to join the book committee because there's going to be a lot of work over the next couple of months. We'll be writing like crazy. So please join one of the committees. After this meeting, I think I'll share the links again in the groups for these various committees because it's the committee heads that'll tell us who are the people who worked in their respective committees. So please do well to identify yourself through these committees and leave your mark, basically, because we don't expect this to just be a list of people who are part of the project, but a list of those who actually contributed to making the project a reality. Yeah, and then there's the survey so far, 4,002, almost 4,003 now, as voices across all the 22 government areas. We also have a very young majority as people who responded, which makes sense because Rivers State is a largely youth state or young state. So 53% of those who responded are under 35 years, which is really cool. And I'm also happy about the gender balance as well. We have a near gender balance. Male respondents are 54% and female are 46%, which is really cool because I think at some point we were like 60 something, 30 something percent, which was quite worrying. So I'm happy we are bringing this up. And hopefully we're able to hit 5K by the end of this month. End of this month, we should be able to have at least a near balance and a near match between male and female respondents. And I think that's quite important because I mean, people can say so much about feminism and the future of the world, but I think River State as a state has had women who have led. I mean, if you look at the current administration or the immediate past set of commissioners and stuff, we've had women who have led the states in so many ways, and I think that like women's leadership and women's voices and in the future of our state needs to be upheld, right? And so that's sort of things that I hope that through this project we can definitely emphasize as well. Yeah, and they're mostly grassroots as well. So many people, self-employed people, students, job seekers, forming 67% of the respondents. So after I speak about the project, we'll have a time to look at the data. So I would come back to this shortly when we open the conversation. I think a major shift happened when we actually took the survey physical. Before now, we were doing most things virtually, which meant us, you know, using like online tools, advertising the survey link. I think we did that on X and on Facebook, but it didn't get much. I think we're like struggling with like almost 700 plus respondents. But we contracted Study Plus Hub, which is one of our partners. And I think that's where everything just changed because Study Plus, I mean, it cost us a lot of money, obviously, as a project. But I think Study Plus being able to get people all across the 20 LGAs, go to churches, go to physical places, that's how we hit 4K, right? And hopefully we reach 5K. I think that's quite key to note that for projects like this, I think grassroots engagement. So like even women that own stores that are selling in stores or people there are some pictures from people who are like, like your roadside tailor shop, people went in there to go ask questions and people were filling the form. I think that's a major lesson. I wish we had more resources. We should have tried to do like 500K, like 500,000 people. That would be a huge sample size, right? To work with. But I mean, it's fine. This is a pilot as an organization. We hope that for our future similar projects, we'll have as much resources as we need to be able to hit a lot more people. But yes, physical enumeration is definitely key. You need people physically, boots on the ground, physically engaging at events, churches, groups, schools, universities, just speaking to people to be able to get them to fill out the survey. We also made a strategic decision to also get them to fill the survey digitally versus print. because we found that for the first month or so, it was tough to get the print. I mean, I don't know if Coffee is here. He probably will speak about this, but it was tough for us to get the print data into the digital platform because that's where you analyze everything, right? You have papers everywhere all over the place, stuff. So what the enumerators did was that they went to their phones and their laptops to meet people, and then we sit down with people and actually fill the form one after the other. So the people will just like tell them what they want, and then they will fill it for them. And I think that was really cool because that meant that we had all the data in one place and we could have it quick enough to be able to like analyze and stuff like that. So that's something else to note. Oh, Tonte, I just saw your message now. Yeah, I mean, we haven't met in a while, so that's probably why you didn't know about the committees. Sorry about that. I'll put a link in the WhatsApp group so that you can join. But yeah, we haven't met. I think we met last as a team in February. So much has happened and work has been moving on. So that's why we haven't met. But I'll put that link for you and those who haven't uh, seen much about this to be able to join the committees. Yeah. Okay. So that's what happened with the survey. I think it's really cool. I think it's a huge learning. I think it's the largest we've done in our state's history. Definitely the first ever future survey in Nigeria's history. But like I said, there's still room for a lot more improvement. I feel if we did start the physical enumeration early enough and had a lot of money, my it would have done 500K people. Like it'd have been more beautiful to say we've surveyed 500,000 reverse people. Definitely a lot more, a lot more stronger story. But I think this is still a strong story. Never been done before. So we can definitely continue to tell the story of this survey in so many ways. So far, we've now done 22 focus groups, which is a lot though. Like 22 to be able to bring together all the various experts across multiple fields. I mean, we first planned out for 15, but as the project continues to grow, we started to see like there were need for some other like additional conversations that were not initially planned, like a conversation on inclusion, for example. We can't talk about the future of university without talking about inclusion. So definitely we spoke to Mrs. Gogo, who had done some work at KR Foundation. And I feel we can still do a lot more with inclusion. I was speaking with Bira to see if there's a way to even do particular, like a focused conversation on people who are living with disabilities. If it's possible to do that, I think that would be really cool and will add to the strength of the book. We thought about civil society as well. We didn't plan on civil society earlier, which is weird because this is a civil society-led project. But we thought about it along the way and then planned the conversation for it. So just like that, we planned for a couple of others as well. I think one on private sector education or something like that. We did one on healthcare with the former commissioner for health. So we had a lot of things along the way and added. But like I said, three major things that we need to talk about: food security, human security, and transportation. I think those three are key. And yeah, we have notes for all of these sessions. Plus, we have Gemini that's now integrated to YouTube, which also gives us a chance to be able to like revalidate our notes and ensure that we didn't miss any parts of the conversations for this. So yeah, so there's data for all of these conversations, and we hope we can wrap up this three for this month and just be done so that we can we can breathe and now focus on the book. I think something additionally that we did for our 59th anniversary last month is that we also thought to go to radio. So we had used media a couple of times in like last year, used TV a lot to quite a bit. Wisdom and I have been on several shows and all that. But I think this anniversary we thought to use radio as a major means to be able to engage, engage the community, engage the state, speak to the leaders, etc. And I think it was really, really useful. James and I were on Classic FM and Nigeria Info. I was on Reading FM Viewpoint, and then we're on Today FM as well. I think it was a good experience. Again, it costs quite a bit of money because media is quite expensive now as time continues to progress. But I think it was also important because it gave us a chance to be heard. It gave us a chance to be heard. It gave us a chance to get more people to hear about us and so like identify us. Because I mean, one of the shows I think on Nigeria Info where someone said, "Oh, we heard you guys talk about this on so other station, and now we're happy to hear you on this other station as well." So it means that the breadth and reach of our work is expanding. Still so much room. I think if we had a lot more resources, definitely maybe do like a bi-weekly or weekly thing where different members of the team are going around to go speak on various radio stations about the project and giving like an update or like a monthly update of what's happening, how people can join. Because with radio, I mean, you don't know when someone's going to tune in, right? So the more you speak, the higher your chances of reaching many more people, right? So yeah, so if we had a lot more resources, that's what I would recommend. And I'm sure in our reports as well, as we speak about this model, we recommend that engagement as often as possible would be something that we should definitely do as well. Yeah, we engaged the state leadership as well. It's written to the House of Assembly earlier, and I think that was in April. And then we also wrote to the governor. You guys knew about that this week. Hopefully they come on board. But we've always, as we've always said on this project, we are not waiting for them. We're just informing them, communicating this with them, giving them the courtesy of joining the project. But I mean, the project doesn't wait for anybody. It's not even gonna go wait. The way it's gone so far, it's not even gonna wait for us because there's a deadline right now, and it's all for us to be able to catch up with that deadline. So, if the governor does come on and the House of Assembly speaker, they will be invited to also write key messages on the vision book. And also, I mean, engage us, so that's through KIIs or physical engagement, whatever it is we're able to come up with, would find some ways to engage them to ensure that there's a bit of political backing as well behind for this project. But again, it's a non-partisan project, so even though we are reaching out to them, we're also being careful not to be uh, um, not to become a political tool of certain leaders as well. So just being careful about that. So even as you speak about the project, let's also keep that frame in mind. As it's non-partisan, it's a chance for the state to come together and discuss ways to be able to move forward. If they join, cool for them. If they don't join, sorry for them because they'll be left out of something really cool. And I feel like it's when this book eventually gets launched, people will realize how much more of a missed opportunity it's going to be for many people who refuse to join us as they were supposed to join us. So yeah, that's just a point of note. We've also had now 9, I think 10 public forums that we've spoken at. Just some of them are like local forums, like Wisdom and I, sorry, no, our Jimmy Mama and I, Joshua and I were at Uniport last year a lot, going to speak to students, SUG members, etc. We also had like small events, big events, stuff like TEDx and all that. I think earlier this year I was also in Abuja as well for a panel where I got a chance to speak about the project. So we keep finding these public forums. What I would love to see a lot more, and what I think is a space for growth, would be for us to be able to find more local platforms like community meetings, community events. So a lot more, I mean, posh elite events are cool. TEDx is cool, but I think a lot more like local events, local platforms, association meetings, friend meetings, those kind of smaller groups where we can go share about the project will also be cool as well. So that's just a point of note. So if you see those kind of opportunities, do well to share so we can coordinate ourselves to be able to also share to people at the grassroots level. So I think that the event is not just, the project should not just be for people at the top, it should also be for people at the bottom. Wisdom, are you trying to say something? I'll soon I'll soon pause so everyone can share if you guys want to share shortly. Okay, and then yes, global recognition for the events. We got on the NGFP fellowship last year, well, for this year. And it's been a very interesting fellowship program, mostly helping us to mainstream our processes, ensuring that we are designing the project correctly in line with international best practices, and that our project is also recognized internationally. So the kind of partnerships that we get, the kind of funding opportunities that we also get. We've been applying for quite a number of them to ensure that we can raise as much funds as we need to ensure the launch is as strong and big as it can get. So this has been a good opportunity as well. For us, we've also had the Reverse 2050 Vision website as well. I think as of when I checked, 20-something thousand hits, which is crazy because I didn't think many people were visiting the site as much. But yeah, over 20,000 hits on the website means a lot of people are coming out to check what we're doing. So we continue to keep that updated to continue to share what it is we're doing. Okay, so finally, just looking ahead, this is what the next 6 months will look like. So June and July would basically go into like synthesizing all of the data that we've gathered so far. And by that, I mean making sense out of it. So we could use things like AI, would use reading, we'll share amongst ourselves basically, I'll come up with the plan on this in a bit more detail with the book committee and how we can work around synthesizing all the information, ensuring that the notes are ready, the key points from each of these notes are out there, and just bringing all the text together because there's so much text and so much big data. Then by August, we should have the first draft of the book. So this would be from the forward, which, by the way, has tentatively been accepted by, I mean, I will give us much more information when this is confirmed, but just tentatively, we had written to His Majesty King Alfred the Fifth to write the forward for the vision book. His family did try to reach him a couple of times, but I hear that he's now abroad. So we were not able to get his confirmation early enough. And because, like I said, we have a timeline and everything, we just couldn't wait in perpetuity. So we then wrote to His Excellency, former Governor Peter Audley, who has now accepted to write the vision book forward. So we're waiting for him to be able to send us the forward with the information. And once we receive it, then we know that it's confirmed with his signature and stuff. So that's what we're waiting for. So the draft means that all of that information from the forward, the key messages, if we have any from the governors and stuff, as well as key messages as well from international partners. So Kat from School of International Futures and a couple other experts are going to write some key messages for us. So all of that, the work that the book committee had done for the first 2-3 chapters, put together all the synthesis for the focus groups or the thematic pillars, all of that put together, the data analysis for the survey stuff that we've done will also come in there, and then the futures casting. So like where we're giving the timelines, next 5 years, the next 5 years, thematic priority areas, the foresight tools and stuff that we're going to use, all of that will come together. So the first draft that people can look at, validate, review, we can edit, etc., make comments, etc. I think that should be ready in August. By September, I think we should have a validation meeting. I think it'll be cool to have a physical meeting, maybe a hybrid meeting where we can have people join online and physically. That's something we should work on so that we have a chance, maybe give ourselves like 6-7 hours to just like look through everything, find all the gaps and everything, what should be added, what should be left out, etc., and just get it done so that by October or September ending, we can have a final vision book, which we can then distribute to the government functionaries, the key state functionaries, political parties, ahead of the launch. So that by the launch in November, people already have an idea of what the vision book is going to be about, especially for the political candidates as well that we hope to invite from the major political parties. We can then have citizens question them about their plans in line with the vision book during the launch. So the launch will then be in November. We don't have a date yet because I think we're also checking the INEC calendar. We had initially planned for October because INEC moved their dates around. I think governorship, the political people here can correct me, but I think governorship, what's it called? Campaigns begin in either September or October. Presidential begins in August, I think. So I just give them 1 month space because they need to do their own like loud engagements first before they start engaging people physically. So I will just give them like 1 month space before we then do our public launch so that we can have them there physically as well as flag bearers of their various parties. So that's what it looks like. So we've now gone from a lot of public work to so much like inside work. So even people in other committees who would like, the book committee will be very active now because there's so much work that needs to go into the synthesis of data. So for those who have skills with data analysis and bringing things together, please signify in the group so we can bring you in so that we can pull our energies together to get this vision book ready for launch in November. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That's basically the summary. I think that this is more of a futures thing. So by next year, one of the ways we've seen countries and states basically institutionalize their vision projects and plans is that they put a bill behind it, right? So I think if we do get a chance to engage with the Speaker of the House, one of the things we should ask him to commit to if he gets reelected, or I mean, whoever gets reelected, as we engage the House next year, would be for us to have a bill to back up this vision book, so that there's sort of like a legislative backing for it. Wales has done an example, Australia has an example, Hungary has an example, and if we actually do it, we'll be the first state country even in Africa that has done it. I know South Africa and Kenya are considering one, but they haven't done it yet. So this would be I think this would be the next step for us. Nothing to worry about now. We can basically finish our launch first, and as opportunities present themselves, we can think of how we engage for post-election next year, on how we can get a bill to back up the vision book, so that it's not we don't launch this as a book and it ends up on the secretariat table, but there's a legislative framework to back up all of this, sacrifice we put in for the past, almost 2 years in making sure that we bring this project to life. Okay, so I'll stop rambling now and open up the mic for questions or thoughts. Any questions, thoughts, comments, feedback? Yeah. It's open for everyone. And then if Comfort is able to speak at some point, to be good to hear your voice too as well. Comfy is the secretary of the Policy Shapers company. So any questions, thoughts, comments, please feel free to jump in, anyone. And then once we're done with that, we'll then look at the data that we found so far, the one we've analyzed so far from the survey.
All right, Eben, Wisdom speaking.
Wisdom, yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Please go.
All right. First of all, I really must commend you. You have done such a fantastic job, sincerely, and we have made overwhelming progress, even in light of many delays, disappointments, and just a lot of things. But we have made good progress. I really must commend you. Things have shaped up so well, and our hope is that we'll eventually get to the conclusion of the project as it is. One major problem with our state is when you bring projects that are, highly visionary like this, you struggle with a lot of things, like even engaging our leaders, getting the kind of will that we need, but I like that we're still pushing regardless, of those challenges. It's a very big problem for us in River State. I mean, everybody, I think they prefer to settle for things that are not as visionary like this, But I hope one day we'll get it right. But I want to commend you and everybody who has one way or the other continue to work with us to achieve this at the end of the day. What we are doing in years to come, I know we are going to look back and be grateful, especially you, Eben. You are going to be grateful that you made the effort. So my words are just encouragement to everybody. Any disappointment is a blessing. I have faced a few disappointments myself on this project, and I know how things have been going. But in a couple of more years, what we are doing, 25 years vision, is not ordinary. We don't know where anybody will be in 25 years or 20 years' time. But we have something we can look back as a reference. My son is 2 years old now. By that 20 years' time, I'll be 22 years old. So there will be something for that generation to reference, to look at and say, see what my daddy and his friends, sort of did. Eben, I'm sure the same thing with your son too. So it's something major we're doing. And I want to encourage us to keep at it. Anything can change and can be different within the next 12 months. We can never tell. Anything can just be different, and that difference can create a shift that we need. So we just need to be ready at that time. So I just want to give encouragement and just commend you, Eben. You've led this project in a very, very unbelievable way, and it's so inspiring. And I really must commend you. Even when some of us we've given up a bit, but you keep your push. It's so much of an encouragement in light of all the disappointments we have seen. But thank you, Eben. Thank you. Well done. Well done. Well done.
Thank you so much, bro. No, I mean this is our project, and I like that you mentioned our kids because in the end, this is also for them, right? Um, we will probably be in our 60s or late 50s at the time, when this when 2050 comes around, if God keeps all of us alive and in good health. But yeah, it's our kids. The world that this will shape, basically would be the world that our kids would inherit. So I think just thinking about the future generations, this is our first attempt. Hopefully, it begins a culture in the state, like you said, of how we begin to think. And I'm happy. I mean, just to also mention for those of you here, wisdom is in the political space, is a political party. We have people who are in different political parties here, and we hope that you guys will also become the torch bearers in those parties for the Renaissance. I know you have a lot of work ahead of you because you're like the only one, or probably the only few people thinking in a certain way in in those groups. So your work is also cut out for you as well in how you bring the kind of different thinking in those spaces. But yeah, like you said, it's the beginning of the work, and I hope that we can drive this all the way through to the end. Just if I come to Dr. Ann, thank you, Dr. Ann, for your hand. Let me respond to someone's question on Dr. Peter Odili. Yeah, so this was a decision that it wasn't just me. We decided together as a steering committee, just as you saw earlier, the steering committee that was Wisdom, Joshua, I, Mesoma, and Udo, and Bira as well. We would have loved, actually, our first choice, no offense to His Excellency Dr. Peter Odili, our first choice was to have His Majesty because of the significance of the fact that he last time we had a vision, it was him, right? So we actually did think that, just for the next generation, we're like, it would be good to have his words back up what we're currently working on. And that's who we really did want. We were passionate about it and pushed really hard throughout last year, plus this year. I mean, we don't talk about disappointment because we had even at many points gotten to situations where we've almost had a session with him, and then it got canceled the day before. We had those kind of things happen multiple times. But yeah, I mean, it was sad that in the end, his family couldn't really give us like concrete yes to say they will definitely get him to ride the forward. And at some point, his son even said he thinks we should find another alternative. So when we heard that, we were like, okay, we just can't keep waiting in perpetuity. And if we wait too long, it will now give us too much short time to go tell the other person that we want the person. And between 1999 and now, Dr. Peter Odili seems to be I mean, he belongs to a political party, yes, but I think he seems to be like a leader in the sense that he's our first governor in the Fourth Republic. Sort of like most of what has been set as far politically and institution-wise for our states, most of all our former governors were all in quotes his boys and learned under him. So we felt for that leadership and fatherly figure, that seems to be the next right option for us as a team. So that's what led to the decision of the steering committee to decide. Do you have any reservations on this, Dante, or any comments or thoughts? Really, that would be cool to hear. But let's hear Dr. Ann first. Dr. Ann, please go on.
Okay, hi, good evening, everyone. Well done. This is also interesting and forward thinking because, as you know, like I always say, somehow in the spaces around, people just take reverse people for maybe people that dance and sing randomly. Heard it so many times. Okay, back to what I was saying. So on the survey, I'm thinking this is just my thought. How come we've not taken it to the universities? Those places are populated with a lot of people. So I'm thinking advocacy wise, could we talk to like maybe the SUG president? Is this something that he could talk about or get? I don't know how the SUG functions right now. I was out of school a long time ago. But is this something that if we talk to them, the uptake will be more? Because you can imagine them saying it or saying it in several groups in Uniport and like, oh, want you are the future of River State, would like for you to fill the survey. That would give us a lot of numbers. So that's what I'm thinking, like through the universities. I think there are 3 universities in River State. Can we go through any of the offices? Does anybody have any connect so that we get more numbers on the survey? Thank you. That's my thought.
Amazing point, Dr. Ann. No, thanks. Thank you so much for asking. So at some point last year, Joshua and I spoke at an event that brought together all of the SUG presidents and all the faculty presidents from all the 3 universities, right? So this was, I think, August last year. I don't know if Joshua isn't here to remind me, but I think it was sometime in August last year. So we spoke at that event, talked about the survey, and then we also got into a partnership. We actually signed an MOU with what's their name? ISEC. I don't know if folks know ISEC. ISEC is a youth body known internationally, the Port Harcourt branch of ISEC. Basically got to this thing with us to work on how they can disseminate the survey. So it was that collective effort that then led to us, I think, hitting close to 700. SUG also said they shared in their WhatsApp groups, etc. So it was when we saw that it was helpful, but it wasn't as much as we would have wanted. So that's when we then said, okay, cool, let's go into the field and get people to take the survey to churches and all those other places. And that's how we hit the 4K. I still feel that there could be more chance. I don't know if they have events or things that are coming up. If anyone knows those kind of things like events or things that can be like you fill the survey to access something, if there's some kind of reward at the end, perhaps that can become something that people, because these days people don't do anything without a reward system.
Or
So that can be something,
certificates, you know how
or some kind of
everybody gives
certificate, right? Yeah. If you have any ideas, if you can think about this deeper and have any ideas, let me know. So let's come up with something. If it's possible, yes, that would be cool. But just to let you know that, yes, we actually did speak. That was one of the first groups that we actually engaged because we knew that that's one of the most important spaces. We got the SCG folks together, explained to them about it. And then they also got the links to share on their various WhatsApp groups. We also spoke to the national president of the Nigerian Union of River State Students. He also came as a panelist on one of the focus groups. I think we remember that. And then we also shared the links with him as well to take this to his association groups. But I don't know, maybe because it's a survey, maybe people start and they don't finish, perhaps. But we just did not get as much as I expected us to basically get from that kind of engagement. So that's why we now moved on to the other pathways. Yeah. But if anyone has any ideas, please do well to share. Okay, Udo?
Okay, thank you so much, Evan. With regards the survey, so I think that like you said, Evan, we had explored different channels, and the thing with I remember even as an ISEC alumni, I remember when we were working closely with the UN's ECOSOC to transition from now the MDGs to the SDGs, and we were really active in sourcing and getting youth's voices. We also came up with a specific program for it, called Youth Voice. So it's called Youth Speak, to gather now data about similar to what we're doing, right? Just getting citizens' voices on what it is that they care about and what they need, so that those can now be pulled into what we have as the SDGs right now. And ISEC was really instrumental to the UN in gathering all that data, because this was now a global thing. And I thought that was, again, maybe wishful thinking, or maybe too much expectations. I thought that was what was going to happen with now this partnership that was signed with ISEC. So I was really enthusiastic about this, because and maybe it is the thing with people working in different eras, or what we'll call maybe phases. Because at the time when we were planning for this, now we were actively involved in this UN work. We were hungry people. We didn't have incentives, but we just wanted to make the world better. And so we took this thing if you look at it, you would think that they were paying us money at that time. We went to different countries and engaging young people and getting them to fill that survey. I'm talking now in different languages. We printed, we distributed digitally. We literally got people, persuaded people. So today it still baffles me, the amount of data that we generated. It's just crazy. But now it's a different conversation. Just hearing now that we pulled different SCG teams together, and we still got very low data, which again I thought now it was now, I guess, the decision to get to engage now this data group And we've gotten like now a lot more because then they've now gotten to these communities that I guess whose voices would be really critical in putting together now the vision book. So I suppose what's getting a lot of what's young population, it was also important that we considered different age sets so that we at least were inclusive to an extent. Another thing I wanted to just also say is time really is not on our side. Maybe what we can do is to, I guess, move a motion that keeps now the form running or the survey running till even after we've extracted and analyzed what we need for the book, because we need that analysis to be done at the end of this month latest. So we can just work with what we have while we keep it open. Eventually, maybe the ones that we get afterwards, we can find a way to make some adjustments. But for us to make progress on this book at the timeline that we had set, we need now the data that we have at hand. We need to already like analyze and extract all the information that we need that will be useful for writing now the book. But at the end of the day, I think we should still keep the survey running for as long as we can. And while it's running, then we can explore other I guess stakeholders. Yeah, we can explore the stakeholders that could help to push the survey, but we need to also strategically figure out what are all the possible ways that we can get more people to fill the forms. If we have to pay more people, then we should find some funds to do that. If we have to, and just as somebody had mentioned, now these days you need to incentivize people just to get that data that you need. Unfortunately, whatever it is that you're doing, you need to consider incentives in it. So we may now need to invest now some money into it so that we can get a lot more people to fill the form. But yes, let's really keep the form open. But more importantly, is that we need now to get started with analyzing what we already have so that we can move forward with writing the book.
Thank you so much, Udo. No, fantastically said. If we do, I mean, we've written quite a number of grant applications. If we do get some of those grant applications coming, I think that's we could definitely gives like Study Plus and maybe one other organization a bit more money to say, okay, let's, you got to 4,000, can we hit 10K, for example, and let's see if we can push this a lot more. So that's definitely an option. But I think we have 2 minutes left on the call. So if people are able to stay for another extra 10 minutes, let me just take the next 10 minutes to just speak about some of what we're finding out from the data, what's coming out from the 4,000 people that we've spoken to so far. And then we can wrap up. I had shared this already in the group, by the way. So this is like a preliminary analysis of some sort. Study Plus Hub is going to do all the final analysis. This one was done by Claude's Opus 4.7 agents. So heads up, this is an AI generated stuff using the big data that was put in there. But Study Plus is doing a human plus AI plus whatever tech, analysis of everything that's going to happen, and they would share that with us shortly. Okay. So survey findings, I shared this earlier, 4,260 voices so far. These are the general base data. Where respondents came from, surprisingly had a lot of respondents from Oyibo. That was our biggest collection. With Port Harcourt really low. Port Harcourt is actually 117 people that we got. And so one of the things that we told Study Plus was that this last batch of their engagement should be in Port Harcourt as well. Because, I mean, we want grassroots, but we also don't want Port Harcourt to be very small. We want that kind of balance between urban and rural engagement. So Oyibo had the highest. But Port Harcourt had one of the lowest. Groups that responded, Ikwere, obviously 16.9%, Ijo 11.1%, Ogoni 10.7% to the top three, and then the rest are there. Wisdom probably will get interested in knowing that Bonny is at 3.8%. So there's room for Bonny to definitely come up. And room for also non-indigenous. So I think we have 107 non-indigenous respondents so far. Can definitely do more, right? So I feel that there's a lot of room to be able to push that between now and the end of the month. One of the questions that we asked was satisfaction index. How satisfied are Rivers people today? Which was one of the poorest that we definitely got. Only 1 in 10 people feel that the government meets their expectations. So satisfaction index is out of 5. The general rating was like a 2.01, which is bad, right? Because government should be existing to solve people's problems, but if people feel like government isn't meeting their needs, then that's a bad thing, obviously, and obviously instructive as well. When we begin to engage the political actors, we let them know that this is what people feel about government, and obviously there's a lot of room for them to improve things. And I think one of the key here is this data point, which shows that satisfaction rose as people's income rose. So the more people's income rose as their monthly income rose. So people who are earning less than 20K were 1.64, on the satisfaction index. People who earn 250K and above were 2.56 on the satisfaction index. That's like a 0.9, difference. To show you that
money is a huge factor.
Money is a huge factor. So like government needs to be able to look at the economy in Rivers State as one of the major things. So whoever is planning for the election should be looking at the economy as one thing. That if you really do help put money in people's pockets and solve their economic challenges, and people are not asking for too much. Like for them, that's basically what it needs for them to be able to be satisfied, right? Yeah. So just as Wisdom said, the money is a huge factor. So like top priorities for government that people chose, public trust is one of the biggest issues, and again, we can definitely know why. We haven't seen our government budget in a while. I don't think SIM ever released that budget throughout the period. I think Wiki did it maybe the first 4 years. I'm not sure I did it for the many 4 years. I think Amici did it for a while and then stopped. So I think all of these issues around trust, like releasing your budget, ensuring that there are conversations around the budget, etc. That's really key. Transparency and accountability is also the second point. Quality healthcare access also is quite key. So I mean, it's important that we spoke to the health commissioner as well, because I think that's information we got from her will be quite useful. We also found that there's a huge digital divide as well across the states, in the sense that people aged 25 to 34 had the most access to the internet at 61%. People under 18 were at 29%, 18 to 24, 24%. But as people also got older, they had less and less access to the internet as well, which people might not be shocking, but also tells you that if you have a population between 25 years and 34, say, even say 54 years, between this working age, really, they should have the most access to the internet, right? Because as time continues to progress, they need more and more access. But then Dr. Ann will tell you that even those who are younger also need access to the internet now, because with the curriculum changing and everything, we need younger people to also know that there are other ways to raise money, and it shouldn't be internet fraud. Like you can find the right ways, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's also a point to note as well for our education ministry. And then climate change is a lived reality, obviously. So on the climate change questions, everyone was over 90%. Things like governments must act harder on illegal dumping and pollution. 96% people agreed. Monthly sanitation should be enforced. 96% of people agreed. Waste disposal and sanitation systems are inadequate. 96%. So like all the climate questions, like Rivers State is vulnerable to flooding, 95% of people agree. So obviously that's something that, I mean, our environment is quite key for us as a state, and we're there to see that deteriorate a lot in this administration. So that's something that we should really look at as a state. The next question, this was mostly about the gap between where things are today and where things should be. So if you look at the quality of life today, if you put all the answers together, we're somewhere at 2.41, when we should really, the vision should take us to actually 4.40. So we have a 2 points gap in where people are now. So there's quite a bit of work.
There's a lot of
work to be done. Exactly.
This data, even if we get 2 million people to fill this survey, I'm sure
this will still be the answers, right?
Yes,
exactly.
In a larger scale, this will still be the answers.
Yeah, exactly. And then what citizens most wanted from each sector. These were like different sectors that we asked them. Under youth and gender, people want youth leadership and participation, which is quite key. I think youth leadership is a big point, not just as boys, but also people who are leading. Access to quality healthcare under health was very key. Internet access under technology was very key. Economic diversification is also key beyond oil and gas. That's 3%. Modernized farming practices as well under agriculture, 70%. So again, like I said, I've shared this so you guys can have a look at it. Just moving on because of our time. And then under the Rivers Youth Agenda, which is what are the youth? So we took our data from those aged 18 to 35 and said, what did they rank as the various things that they basically wanted? So youth leadership, access to quality healthcare, internet access, all of these were really high. But there was a job story behind it as well, because 83% says that youth unemployment is a major challenge. 80% said that job opportunities in the States are limited, which is obviously really clear. 83% said that they want entrepreneurship backed by grants and training. So that's a tip for anybody who's running for office, really. Like you just need to think about that as one of the things you should do. And then 45% said they should prioritize youth employment and skills development. So these are some of the points around jobs and the job market that we'll be communicating. So one of the things that we'll also be doing is that we need to storify all this data to explain what these numbers mean, because people wouldn't get them just from looking at the charts alone. And then one of my favorites is this one that talks about how LGAs rank their priorities. So this is more like a needs assessment for the LGAs basically across the states. Equity ranked 96% on health, 97 on climate, 95 on security. So the
ranking, is it that what they need to prioritize the most?
What they need to prioritize the most, yes. Yes, what they need to prioritize, what they feel is in higher demand for them, basically. So the darker the color, the higher the need for them. So many of, like MOHA, for example, was like 93% on climate, it's 7% on health, 92% on economy. So basically that's a need there. So you can see the thing around the various LGAs as well. Yeah, and then these are just some foresight tools. They're called foresight methodologies that we've done so far on this project, which would also add to the book when we design them better. This one is called the Horizon Scan, which we have been speaking about for a while, which maps between now and 2050 and looks at the various key events that will happen that will affect us. Things like rise in sea level, population increase. I think I spoke about this during my TED Talk as well. Technology disruptions and stuff like that, oil and gas issues and climate change. So these are things that we should be looking at, and we'll add that here as a horizon scan of what's coming over the next 20 to 25 years. And then this is called a scenario map, which basically shows what are the 4 possible outcomes based on our decisions as a state. So the 2 biggest things from the survey are economic diversification and high trust and accountability. So there's low trust in government, and there's a need for the state to also be diversified economically. And so these are 4 scenarios. Where we are currently is somewhere towards this drift, where we have low trust and also we are oil dependent, such that we continue to drift. There's low trust in government, so there'll be obviously higher corruption, etc. People will have more apathy. And with us only depending on oil, it means that economy is quite rigid. As oil prices go up, we go up. If oil prices come down, we come down, etc. If we shift a bit towards the right and increase our trust in government, maybe we start reducing our budgets, but are still oil dependent, we'll get into a scenario called managed dependence, which is we are a bit more honest, but we are still quite rigid as well. We're not diversified. So he answers the trust question, but doesn't really answer the diversification question. If you go up a bit to the hollow boom, where we diversify our economy, but we don't really become trustworthy. So we don't really release budget figures. We continue how we've been continuing currently, but we begin to invest in a few other sectors. What will happen is we'll get more money, but corruption will begin to grow, because without much information on budgets, the money will get stolen, right? So it's going to be called a hollow boom scenario. Where we want to be is this scenario, which is the Renaissance scenario, where basically we are more accountable, there's higher trust in government, but then we're also diversified as well. So we're investing in agriculture, technology, and other sectors that will help industrial growth, that will help young people to get jobs. So these are the 4 scenarios of this is our future for us. We could either be here or here or here. Depends on the kind of decisions that we make as a state and as a people. Yeah, and then we'll talk about what it takes for us to get there as well. And you guys know about these ones already. We spoke about it. The visual features on the websites, which sort of seem to paint a picture, they are AI generated, paint a picture of what the state could look like over the next 25 years. if we do the right things and put the right things in place. So those are in essence the sort of the AI generated stuff that we did and the analysis. But like I said, 30 Plus will do a more holistic one that will go into the vision book with a lot more charts and graph, so that we storify the data and people understand what data is saying. And yeah, we're hoping that if we do get the courtesy visit to the governor, hopefully before the month ends, this will be one of the things we present to him to say, this is what data is saying. This is not us. This is what your people are saying. So dear executive governor and your team, and hopefully the speaker as well, if you get to speak to the speaker, this is what you should keep in mind as we get into this election season, because this is what people actually do need. So action points. We are 10 minutes over time. Action points. I would share the links to the various committees for those who haven't joined, where you can join the committees. Udo and I would speak so that we decide on how people can come in to support the book committee on data synthesis, those who can write, those who can support in various ways, whether it's data analysis, etc., so that you know how you can come in and support. Because I think that's where the bulk of the work will be between now and the end. Joshua and his team are working on like venue and dates and stuff. So please just, stay in touch, because we'll be hearing about the dates and the venues and all that, so we can begin to analyze and see which one works for us, so we can know how we can build around that. I think Bira and his committee are also going to be working around how we can get the 3 last focus groups done, so we can close out on the focus group discussions. Thank you so much, everyone. Comfort, do you want to say something before we close? Just to give you this final space to speak. But yeah, thanks everyone for your time. Really, you guys are telling me thank you, but this wouldn't be possible if you guys are not here. This is because you're here. That's why there's a Reverse 2050 vision. So thanks everyone for your commitment and your support over the past 1 year.
Eben,
Yes,
so this entire report was done with AI?
Yes, it was done with AI. It was done with Claude.
Okay.
Yeah, hello everyone. Good evening and well done, Eben. Wisdom pretty much captured my mind when he spoke. So I had actually dropped a note in the chat where I said, on behalf of policy shapers, I would like to commend you all, and I'm saying a big thank you for the progress and your commitment, investing your time to the future of Rivers State. And I also said that if Franz Fanon was to wake up from the grave today, what he would say is that I have seen a generation who, out of relative obscurity, I don't think we are obscure anyways, have discovered their mission, and they're fulfilling it. I really appreciate the fact that amongst us, there are a generation who stands out and are able to commit and are able to invest their time even without being paid in a time and season where everybody's looking for money, and in this Tinubu's economy. So I really hope that the political office holders and the ones that are coming into power, the ones that are campaigning, would also use insight from this data that Eben presented today. Wisdom, you're here. If you have your colleague, I don't know everybody who is contesting for the upcoming election, I would actually advise that you share this data with them so that they're able to have like a data-driven campaign. And also when it comes to decision making, when you all get into power, you can also use that to guide your decision making. Well done, and God bless you all. Well done, Eben, for leading this.
Thank you so much, Comfy. God bless you all, guys. Thanks a lot. We'll continue our engagements in the group, and we'll also share a recording to this as well when we put it on YouTube. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week ahead. Let's continue to push. 6 months to go. We're almost.
Will you share this report with us?
Yes. I'll share the report to you as well. Yes.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay,
have a great weekend. Yeah, bye.